Attention Sleepless Knights. Thank you for consuming this OSI 74 product broadcast, live from the Black Knight satellite. For optimum performance and safety, your host, Mr. Lobo, asks that you please listen to these instructions carefully. When in a hospital or other healthcare facility, observe the restrictions on the use of electronic devices. Switch off before boarding an aircraft to prevent interference with communications systems. Do not operate this device in the presence of flammable gases or fumes, chemical plants, or where blasting operations are in progress. Always listen hands-free while driving a vehicle. Failure to observe these instructions may lead to immediate termination. It's time now for the show to begin. Thank you. Have a very pleasant evening.
You're not dreaming. You're listening to the Sleepless Knights podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Lobo. And what? Paul, you're interrupting.
Wait, I still got food in my palm. I got to swallow. Go ahead.
Across from me, eating a donut.
You know what? I don't care
with death.
I don't care what Wendy says, but Vaseline on donuts are not good at all.
You know, you've been putting Vaseline on every piece of bread in this house ever since Wendy asked us that question.
Yeah. And then you've not been eating any bread ever since I've been in this house. You're like, you know what? We're going to throw all this away.
I'm taking a chance with this Boston cream donut.
Well,
I hope it's a Boston cream.
Well, you're lucky it doesn't have a hole.
Yeah. A Boston cream donut, which is probably one of my very favorite donuts.
I love how I'm all proper and I got a
you got a napkin.
Napkin and you've got a
one of my old blue cards from the show. This is your. Today is your.
I hope
episode.
that's chocolate on my fingers that I'm licking off.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Oh no, this is Rich. Oh, this is Rich Cause from Chicago, Illinois. Sven Gooley.
Oh yeah.
Sven Gooley is calling, and I'm not going to answer.
Oh, that's rude.
It seems like it would be rude, like an asshole move. Mm-hmm. But
isn't he supposed to go to your voicemail?
It is.
That's why.
Rich is recording a voice for an upcoming episode of Cinema Insomnia. And we don't want to spoil it. We don't want to say what voice he's doing.
No.
He's not going to be Sven Gooley. I don't think legally he can be Sven Gooley in anything but this show.
Maybe he can be Van Goldberg.
Van Goldberg?
Yeah, is that close to Sven Gooley?
No.
Is Van Goldberg?
Van Sven Gooley's one word.
Yeah.
Sven Gooley is one name.
Well, Van can be one name. Vincent Van Gogh. Right?
No. Well, yeah, Van Gogh. It's part of a name.
Right.
Yeah,
so Van went.
It has nothing to do with Sven Gooley, though. Have you seen it? Okay, Svengali is a thing, right? Svengali is a play on... Sven Gooley is a play on Svengali, right?
Well, then he can be Svengali, right?
No, Svengali was a hypnotist in a movie, old movie, okay? Maybe it was a book. I have no idea. But you know, whenever whenever they say someone is like, you know, got like a kind of a hypnotic control over women or whatever, and they call him a Svengali, that's a reference to that character. And Svengoolie is a play on that name, Svengali. Just like Count Gordeval is a play on Gore Vidal. Gore Vidal, the artist, right, and so for it to be something like Chef Goulardi, right, that would be a joke where it would be a play on an existing name. So if you're going to have to come up with something that is a play on an existing name,
we don't have to. We can stop at Chef Goulardi. Goulardi. That's just
so maybe Rich can be on the show as Chef Goulardi. Sounds good to me. Mm-hmm. So I'm eating the Boston cream, and I wanted to reiterate that this is your episode. We're stopping it down, and we're asking...
episode?
Not you, the listeners at home.
I was going to say, I already had my episode.
Yeah, and it sucked.
I have episodes every day. I'm having an episode right now.
Yeah, because you ate a freaking donut. Mm-hmm. You're going to have go into diabetic coma. All right. Well, I've got
chocolate all over your hands.
Chocolate all over my hands and chocolate all over my face. We've got your questions, right?
Yeah.
Paul was smart enough to, since we don't know what to do with our show,
Yeah, let's see. My notes say...
ask you, the viewers listening, because this is engagement, right? That's what this is all about. It's not laziness. It's not like we don't have anything to talk about anymore and we've exhausted. We've run this showboat into the ground.
So I got notes here.
We need your input. We don't need your input. We're giving you the benefit of engaging with us. You're going to connect with us.
So this note says Blobfest ad movie. No, that's not it.
Now,
So I'll put that to the side.
we did a ad for Blobfest. We just recorded that.
This one says Paul rest. We shoot tomorrow, Wednesday, Mr. L. I don't know what that means.
Paul, that was when you were taking your nap.
That's after I ate a donut and had to sleep for 10 days.
I mean, you were sleeping so hard. I'm like, okay, Paul, you just sleep.
Okay,
we'll just make a show tomorrow.
This one says shoulder mount. I don't get this question.
That was so that you didn't forget your shoulder mount when we went out to film.
If I put this on my shoulder, does it count?
It doesn't do anything.
And this one is
Cliff
the
Robertson
old famous.
can knock it off.
This one I can't even read on the air because there's no words.
Paul
it's a
plays
picture.
this card whenever he's just stuck. He is in trouble. He doesn't know what to say. He has this card with this little obscene drawing on it that he pulls out.
Not that obscene. It's just poo.
You and I have a different definition of what's obscene.
I believe the term is fucking dog shit, but there's no fucking involved.
No.
Can I say fucking?
No, you cannot. Cannot say that. You can't even say dog shit. This is not that kind of show, Paul.
Okay, well, it looks like I don't have the notes. Maybe the notes are in front of you.
I have some.
You have like notes upon notes.
I have notes upon notes, many notes. Let's see. Finally, a party game for all that useless knowledge. No, that's not it either.
No, that's what I just read off of my card.
Okay.
That's one of the ads.
Okay, here we go.
Uh-oh.
Is that the cable guy? Or is that Rich Cause?
Cable guy. It's probably your notification that you got a voicemail. Do.
Should we play it?
No.
Maybe not. We won't spoil the episode.
No, you don't
right?
want to spoil the episode.
Oh, he's calling again. Should I not answer it again?
I don't know.
If he's calling twice? Or is he trying it again?
I don't know.
I'm going to feel like a jerk.
Or maybe he was supposed to talk. Maybe he was supposed to talk to you the first time.
I assume we just let him record it, right?
I guess.
But maybe you think my voicemail doesn't work and he's calling back and saying...
Maybe he just wants to talk dirty to you.
I don't know. Maybe I should listen to the message because then if it's Svengoolie...
No.
We don't want to listen to it on air, though. No. How much time do we have in this segment?
I can edit it out.
How much time do we have in this segment?
Lots of time.
Really?
We're about halfway through the segment.
That much?
Yeah, we're only about half.
All right. Well, we've got this thing from Svengoolie just left a message. Rich Cause Svengoolie just left a message. Called a second time. That's the thing that bothers me because he said he was going to call the first time and then not to pick up because he's going to record the audio that we need.
Maybe the second time is just to check up.
And say, hey, did you get that thing?
Did you get that thing I sent you?
Okay, what's that sound mean? Do you know?
Probably your voicemail
Second
notification.
Voicemail? New voicemail. All right. Well, I think I mean, a few minutes isn't going to make a difference. Why don't we just finish this segment out, and then during the break, I'll look at my message from Svengoolie, and we'll see what's up with Svengoolie. And those of you who don't know, Svengoolie is probably right now
on the freeway.
Pardon. He's on the freeway.
Excuse-moi.
Svengoolie, Rich Cause, is probably, I would say, the leading horror host in the country.
And apparently the inventor of cosplay, right?
No.
No? That's not where that comes from?
Rich Cause did not invent cosplay. No.
He should. Sounds like you're a cable guy.
I'll ask him about it next time.
Oh, maybe not.
Is that Dixie coming down the stairs?
That's Dixie. She's about ready to crash the party.
See, this is what our lives are like, just constant interruptions. So, we have some questions from you. Maybe we should try to jump into one of them right away, perhaps.
Yeah.
So that we don't.
Yeah.
Okay. So
pick a good one out of your bag of tricks.
I'm looking here. Okay. Well, this first one's from Rowdy Scarlet. Rowdy Scarlet, he is a great fan. He came and visited us when we used to play at the Alamo Draft House in Winchester. He came all the way from North Carolina to see those shows, and he was watching us on Zombie TV, and now he's watching us on OSI 74, and he's one of our Patreon supporters.
I'm so sorry for you.
And Rowdy says, how long does it take to write a typical episode? How long to shoot? And will Ms. Mittens ever settle down? Now it's never Ms. Mittens. I think it's always Miss Mittens, right?
Right. Unless she has an alternate identity.
Maybe
is that her
even,
superhero
even
name?
more of a feminazi than typical. No, that's a joke, of course. No, send your angry cards and letters to.
What's the address of Mummy and the Monkey?
A typical episode, there is no typical. First of all, there is no typical episode of Cinema Insomnia.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest. Secondly, the show is sometimes partially improvisational, and sometimes, in a case of a show like The Red House, it's entirely improvisational. So if it's a 2-hour show, maybe it took 2 hours to improv that.
Correct.
But so that would be on the shortest end of a writing an episode would be just pulling it out of the keister with without a net.
And there's a lot of keisters going on around here. There's a lot of keisters to pull from.
But typically, and I've come from a background of writing, usually a day or two to write a complete episode, because I usually like to watch the movie around 4 times.
And you do have, like, the script is written, we do rehearse it, and there is space, I should say. I guess that's proper grammar. To improv.
I always leave room, yeah, and usually I will write a joke, even if I don't think it's funny. I will just sort of have it as a placeholder, and hopefully on set with everything, the lights on, and the inspiration will hit, and we'll kind of fill it in and make it better.
And then a lot of times, because there's also a lot of times we'll see a space and we're like, oh, we can add some connective tissue. Here's something that can relate to another episode.
Right, exactly.
Or the podcast.
But when we used to do them for UATV, and that was we had a contract. We had to produce 28 episodes. So it was 2 days of writing, 2 days of shooting, and that goes into the next question: how long to shoot? 2 days of writing, 2 days of shooting, 2 days of editing, put it in the mail. 2 days of writing, 2 days of shooting, 2 days of editing, put it in the mail. And they were on giant tapes, Beta SP tapes, which are humongous. They're not like a Betamax tape. A Beta ST, it's like the size of a phone book. That you mail. So it was very expensive in postage and everything, and it was very nerve-wracking, hoping that they would get them just in time to put them out over the air. And they're supposed to return the tapes afterwards, and of course they never do. But anyhow, 2 days of and we've shot episodes in a day.
Yesterday's episode, we figured 8 hours, and that was a half episode.
It was.
We had to generate about half content.
But there was a lot of original props created. We were writing things on the fly. We were building things for the bits. We created a costume. We built it. We improvised a set.
We had to change the set.
Change the set. So all of those things.
We changed the set twice.
Yeah, and the lighting was not set up at all from our last shoot. So we had to hang the black curtain and set the lights, and so 8 hours I think to shoot most of an episode, which that doesn't include stopping for meals and.
And now, like the Red House, I think we shot that across 3 days.
Red House was improv. We had an opportunity where Eric Miller had come for a visit, and we thought, well, we don't know when we're going to see Eric Miller again. Maybe we could try to incorporate him into an episode. So then we thought, well, here's a chance to experiment and do a totally generic episode.
Yep. So that was day 1 with him.
And then we did a second day.
Day 2 and 3 was just moving on from that and just kind of building. And
did we shoot 3 days on that?
We did shoot 3 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I feel like we did that stuff with Eric, and then maybe we did a little more on our own. And then we had a third day or a second day of shooting the rest of it.
Because I want to say, like, the last part of the day is when we finally just decided to just make it generic. Go forward.
What did we do the third day?
Well, I don't think we were shooting like full days. We were only shooting from a certain time to a certain time, and then we would wrap up, and then we would just move on. And I think our original intentions were we were just going to shoot things that were for random shows. It wasn't necessarily for that show. And then I think by the third day, we finally just conceded and said, you know what, this can be a show.
Yeah.
And just move forward.
Maybe that was it.
Because we were shooting bits and pieces, and then we're like, well, we got to go find a movie. Let's skip this part and find a movie. And then when we spent so much time, we're like, we're near the end here. We might as well just go forward and just not mention the movie at all. And just make that the joke.
Make the episode about.
Because I want to say, like, the third day is when we did the generic we started introducing the generic bits to it, where we did the generic food segment and stuff.
See, I remember that's similar, but
we also
but
did
our sleep and everything is so weird. It's very possible that we shot Eric's stuff, and then
I know his was totally separate.
Yeah, and then maybe after Eric had left, we shot a little more because we shot all the stuff with the coffin, and maybe that is how that went. We shot that bit with Eric. Now I'm remembering it. We shot that bit with Eric. He went home, and then we shot
brought
more.
The coffin in.
We brought more with the coffin. Shot more with the coffin and had the setup with the coffin the second day, and then we put the coffin away and shot the rest of it on the third day.
Because it's pretty much all in sequence too, because that was the condition that the office was in, and we're like, we don't want to clean up the office and then do stuff and then have to bring everything back into the shot. So everything had to be in sequence, so that we were lifting a little bit of pieces here and a little bit of pieces there to, we didn't want to take it out, bring it back, take it out, bring it back.
Yeah.
We wanted it to flow the proper way.
Yeah. So I think you're right. But of course, I think we were shooting a lot of other stuff and doing a lot of other projects at the same time, podcasts, all sorts of things. So I guess we're wrapping this first segment up. I guess how long it is to shoot, we kind of meandered with that, but I guess we're going from
anywhere from 8 hours to 3 days.
Yes, right. And sometimes it might take, if we're doing it live, 2 hours.
Yeah. Well, I mean, considering 3 days, through the time that we actually shot, it may equal to 8 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't 3 full days.
Yeah.
It could have been 8 hours in total.
And will Miss Mittens ever settle down? Hell no. She's a drunk.
She's a rebel.
She's loose. She's
Born to be wild.
foul-mouthed. Yeah, she swears like a sailor, fights like a man, and is just hard to deal with at times. She'll just overdose one
She
day.
floats
That's
like a
her,
butterfly and
that's
stings
what I'm
like a bee.
predicting. I'm going to find her tipped over in the bathroom in a pile of her own soil.
She's going to soil herself.
Right. And on that note, and who knows? Maybe she'll settle down. Maybe she hasn't met the right horror host yet. Maybe Svengoolie is running away with her. Maybe that's what that call is about.
She'll have to find the right person to plan her.
Svengoolie's to plan her. Whoa. Ground her, perhaps.
Ground her. She needs to be grounded.
Yeah.
She needs to find a proper place to settle her roots.
Oh. All right. And on that note, we'll be right back. We come from the retro future. We want you to be nostalgic for what's to come. A new channel and distribution network for smart people with bad taste, featuring content from Church of the Subgenius, Creature Features, Cinema, Insomnia, Sleazy P. Martini and Guar, Troma, Corey Maccabee, horror, sci-fi, Saturday morning cartoons, midnight movies, and assorted trash we love. Add our channel OSI 74 to your Roku player or visit osi74.com. All systems go. We're back from outer space, and we are so very glad that we listened to that message from Svengoolie or Rich Kaz from Chicago.
Now, where do I sign the petition? Because I want to keep the Swedish girl in the episode. What is wrong with the Swedish girl? Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah, I got the boobies.
I had to tell Paul to stop trying to do a voice. We had Paul read the lines while we were filming. These lines that Rich just recorded will be put over the phone call. But for the purposes of timing, Paul was reading it, and I don't know what he sounded like. He was like a Swedish. I don't know what. I can't even.
Yeah.
It was so strange sounding that I literally.
I'm the genie. Haha.
It was breaking my concentration so badly. I just white hot rage every time Paul was talking. So I just had to tell Paul to please don't try and do a voice. Just read the lines.
In typical Paul fashion,
I just kept
doing it.
Yeah. Thanks for nothing.
That's how, as a producer, that's how I get the best out of my actors.
Yeah,
Just piss them the freak off.
No,
But anyway.
it was fine, but we weren't quite sure where that voice was coming from. But luckily, we have another voice to cover that up. So, Rich was, and again, what I was going to say about Svengoolie before the break is that Svengoolie was the best kept secret in horror hosting. And if those of you who don't know what horror hosting is, you need to go back and listen.
I think you're at the wrong podcast.
Yeah, get the hell out of here. But as far as presenting late night movies on television, he's one of the best, and he has been doing it since the 70s. He took over from the original Svengoolie, who was Jerry Bishop. He did. There was an original show. It was called Screaming Yellow Theater, and then it became the Svengoolie Show, and then son of Svengoolie rather. Rich Koz was originally the son of Svengoolie, and then I believe around 1995 he'd been doing it long enough to where people just accepted him as just Svengoolie. It's like the Dr. Paul Bearer Jr. At a certain point, it's like you just drop the junior. It's just or the second, and you take over. You're the patriarch now. So Svengoolie did his show in Chicago. People in the Midwest loved him. He was great. Rubber Chickens, Berwyn. So many gags, a lot of soupy sales, kind of slapstick. He's got black around his eyes and a painted on mustache and goatee and a big black top hat. And he's lovable as heck. Anyway, a few years ago, MeTV, which owns the station that Rich Koz is on, went national and started syndicating their programming to all their affiliates coast to coast, which put Svengoolie in a very rare position of being a modern horror host with national exposure. And people always say, "Oh, you jealous of Svengoolie?" I'm like, "No, I'm happy for Svengoolie. Svengoolie has been waiting 30 years for this, so he can enjoy being a national
treasure.
National treasure, absolutely. So Svengoolie, in his infinite generosity, has recorded some voices for us. We're gonna try and.
Good thing we didn't answer the second time. Because he got cut off. That was a really long message.
He was leaving a really long message, and it cut him off. So he called back like a pro.
We would have thrown him off if we answered.
Yeah, he'd be like doing his stupid voice, but yeah, he won't be Svengoolie on the show, but he will be a very memorable character.
Svengoolie.
Yes.
Goularby? RB? Goularby?
He will be Chef Goulardy.
RB.
Or
could that be competition?
Oh my God, I don't know. Okay, so again, but this isn't about Svengoolie. This is about our audience.
Yes,
and their questions.
Everybody that has us in their heads right now.
Did we sufficiently answer our first question?
I think
we
so.
did. Right?
We went in depth.
So Rowdy, thank you so much for writing us. And
yes.
We
never do it again.
About writing.
Write lights.
I came from a background of writing, but I've also come from a background of improv. And I think when I worked with Bob Wilkins for the first time, and we were doing, I had 11 pages of material, and we shot together out in the Sacramento City Cemetery, a Halloween special. And when I got there with Bob wanted to improv, and we threw those 11 pages of material out. And if you ever see the Bob Wilkins special, the Cinema Insomnia Bob Wilkins special, that's all off the cuff. And he taught me something very important, is that no matter how clever you think you are, your connection between you and your audience is more important than the connection between you and your material. And, rather than I'm being connected to this little blue card, I'm connected to those people who are out there in the dark watching. And that is so much more important than getting every line right and getting every punchline perfect. Dog shit, fucking dog shit. Paul's played the fucking dog shit card. All right, Matthew Seidel has a couple of questions. Do you think I should answer that first one first, or do you think that we should do his other stuff first?
I can't read your life.
Okay, fine. What was the crappiest movie that Mr. Lobo unironically saw in the theaters? We somehow convinced our parents to take us to Laser Blast, assured that it would be right up there with Star Wars in terms of quality, film quality. There's a lot of movies where Paul, you have an answer for this? Crappiest movie that you unironically saw in theaters?
Movie?
Like you went to go see the movie, you were thinking it was going to be good.
Well, I think I told you this story where we all went to go see Sergeant Bilko, and we were all in high school, so it was a bunch of my friends and I.
So this is based on the TV series.
Yeah, and it was Steve Martin. And it's like, yeah, he's a funny guy. This is going to be a funny movie, and it wasn't a funny movie. It wasn't all that good. It was just so probably about 10 minutes in, we're like, Twister's on in the theater next to us, so let's just go to Twister. So we all got up and went to Twister, except for one friend. And, we were wondering where he was at, whatever. So Twister let out, and we're standing out there waiting for Sergeant Bilko to come out. And he comes out, and he goes, "Where'd you guys go?" We said, "To go see a better movie. We went to go see Twister." He said, "Oh, no. I stayed for Sergeant Bilko. I paid for Sergeant Bilko. So I stayed for Sergeant Bilko." And we're like, "Is it good?" He's like, "No, it wasn't good."
I paid my money.
But I paid for Sergeant Bilko, so I'm staying. So
I'm going to see all the movies.
I paid for Sergeant Bilko, but I'm going to Twister.
Yeah. There have been a few times. There have been a few movies that I really wanted to walk out on. And that's really rare because I am kind of one of those people where it's like, okay, I want to stay to the bitter end. I paid my money. I'm going to see all the movie. And I remember going to see Free Jack. This is a movie with Emilio Estevez as a race car driver.
And it's funny, you guys just bought that comic book series off of me.
Yes. Well, it has, again, these movies sometimes develop a place in your heart for being so misunderstood. We went to go see Free Jack. Now, again, it was from the producers of Alien and Total Recall. And it's got Emilio Estevez, and it's got Anthony Hopkins as the bad guy. And he's a rich guy. Anthony Hopkins is a rich guy in the future, and I guess he's dying. And in the future, they have this process of abducting people from the past and then harvesting their body for organs or using their bodies for, old people using young people's bodies in the future.
Because the only thing I remember seeing it in the theater, and I don't think I've seen it since. So whenever that release year is, that's the last time I saw it.
I don't know if it was in the late 80s or the very early 90s, but I want to say either 89 or perhaps 90 or 91, but early. And Free Jack, the only thing I remember from that movie is he escapes the clutches of this rich guy who abducts him from the past. In the past, his race car crashes, so they abduct him just at that moment that the race car crash happens. So they never find his body in the wreckage. They assume he's just burned up, but really he's in the future because somebody bought him. And so he escapes, and he's running around, and he becomes kind of like a hero in the future, a revolutionary. And this one gentleman who He helps him because the guy, he is on TV all the time, and it makes his grandma smile that there's this rebel loose. So as the guy's dying, his friend who helps him out, he says, "Keep my grandma smiling." And then he dies. So ridiculous. One of the stupidest lines ever. The other thing that was really funny about Free Jack is that it's got Mick Jagger as an acting role. Oh my
Look
goodness!
At this. Somebody's calling.
I think this is the cable guy.
I'll put us on hold.
Okay, just got off the phone with not the cable guy, the internet guy. We don't really need cable. We cut that umbilicus years ago. We watch movies we steal our movies from the internet. We don't
just
need
like
your
proper
cable.
white-blooded Americans.
Yeah, white-blooded Americans.
White-blooded Americans. White-blood-celled Americans.
Yes.
Blue bloods of America.
We have really bad internet here, and I don't know how much do we want to how shameful, how much we want to disgrace ourselves, but we live in a rural area. And our landlords live next door, and we pretty much just steal the internet from them, and that's how we get our internet. And we're running a television channel, and two TV shows,
I mean, it kind of answers the question too of
Yeah.
why aren't we streaming the show, or why don't we do this on Twitch? Oh, we forgot to mention Twitch.
Oh, yeah.
But why we don't do stuff on Twitch, and this is kind of why, is we've got very, very slow
Yeah,
internet when it comes to that stuff.
live streaming stuff is hard to do.
You're gonna lose us in the middle of, if we're doing
Yeah.
an hour long vodcast, then you're gonna be losing us.
Paul and I actually were talking about maybe eventually transplanting ourselves to a studio near a major city, near a major airport, but far enough in the sticks to be a quiet place to film. That's the ideal.
Yes, please. No helicopters.
Yeah.
No trains.
Ice
no
cream
trucks.
truck.
No, the fucking ice cream truck. The goddamn lawnmowers. I needed a fidget spinner. I swear. I'm like, if we were playing audio bingo, I was a hot air balloon away from getting bingo.
So many vehicles of all types.
There are several outtakes of me just
Tractor
ranting
trailers,
about this shit.
Everything you could imagine.
I believe that's when
riding mowers, lawn mowers, tractor trailers, ice cream truck.
I was like, is that a fucking ice cream truck? I've never heard of ice cream truck.
Hyperactive, anxiety-ridden dogs next to what is it? A separation anxiety.
Neighbors going
dogs.
up and down the stairs.
Neighbors running up and down the stairs.
I think
children playing outside.
That's where the bullshit, the fucking dog ship car got played, was during one of them. And it was funny because you had your head down. So I'm like, we're waiting for this thing. It's a fucking dog shit because we're waiting for a car now. It was an ice cream truck like 5 minutes ago. There are so many outtakes. We should just like boil them down somewhere.
I feel like that card saved your life a few times, Paul, because I can see that little vein popping out of your head, and you just kind of pull it silently, not say a word, just lift up your little fucking dog shit card, let it drop back down. I think that so. Anyway,
we'll have to come back to the question at hand here.
I guess that's true.
Got a little sidetracked.
Anyhow, we'll come back with I'll tell you about what happened when I saw Free Jack.
Jerry Gross presents an unabridged version of Grimm's Fairy Tales for Adults, starring Snow White, starring Sleeping Beauty, starring Cinderella. Who was Cinderella seeing when she met the prince? What was Snow White really doing with those 7 little men? Grimm's Fairy Tales for Adults. Everything Mommy never told you. Night Night. From Cinemation Industries. Rated X. Under 17 not admitted.
So, I guess a little bit with as you play in the card right now, Paul.
I'm going to play that card, and I'm going to raise you
the shoulder mount card.
I don't know what that means, but we'll go with it.
It means to remember your shoulder mount.
Yeah. But I don't know what the context is of me playing that right now.
I don't know
what that means.
That's what happens at the butcher shop when the butcher gets a little too friendly with the meat, is the shoulder mount. Paul just got that.
I was in mid-cough, too.
Yeah. So, strangely, we got a call interrupting our question from Matthew Seidel. We got a call from the internet guy.
They're like, we heard you talking about Free Jack.
And, and they always say, okay, we're going to come on Friday to tear your house apart and connect you to the internet.
Connect you to the rest of the world.
And we have to have access to all your phone jacks and all this stuff. So Dixie and I spent
phone jacks, your free jacks.
2 days cleaning the whole house for this guy to come. And of course, they always say, we'll be here between 1 and 5, and it might take up to 4 hours to install. Well, I hope you don't show up at 5 and then stay for 4 hours while you're trying.
Am I supposed to feed? Is it customary for me to feed you dinner?
So, it's, I don't know what other profession, where even a plumber will tell you what time they're going to be there and show up. They don't say, any time this afternoon, I might just drop by.
I'm going to book myself sometime between Monday and Friday, between June and August. Will you be home?
And they always, and this seems to be the norm, always cancel, and they don't cancel at 1. They don't cancel an hour before 1. They cancel when it's almost 5, and they either say, we our docket's too full, or we're still with the last customer and we won't be able to do you today. Or it's some technical issue, and this time it was a technical issue. I didn't understand half the things the guy was saying.
He was telling you all like, "Well, we're missing the T37 on the port 4 that doesn't have the cycle
port,
2."
Blah blah blah. He was
like,
at the local. I guess they have a certain powerhouse here in my borough, and there weren't enough cables to go out. Right?
I guess.
There weren't enough.
It sounded like a
card.
It wasn't.
You
were missing a card or something. Like that. The card was bad.
They won't. It won't go out or won't go in.
They couldn't jam it into the hole.
And for whatever reason, what's weird is that they don't only have one opening,
I guess,
for one more person in this damn town. We're the last place, obviously.
you're the only one. You're like
in town that doesn't have
Lobos. They're
internet.
the only ones that don't have internet.
So that was weird. Anyway, so he of course said, well, hopefully we probably won't have it for you tomorrow because it's Saturday, so we'll come back Monday. And of course, it's probably between 1 and 5.
Right.
So it's like
Well, that
we
was
have
kind of the
we have
debate.
to leave our whole day open for this guy who may not even show up.
It was kind of your debate about whether or not having him show up on Friday anyway, because of me being here. You're like, well, now we have to give up some time.
Yeah.
of recording
Right.
anything or whatever. But I guess now we can capitalize on it.
All right, Free Jack.
All right, Free Jack.
So Free Jack. They hired Mick Jagger to be a actor, which is like, if you can't, I guess they already spent their money on Anthony Hopkins and Emilio Estevez, and they wanted to get more names in their movie. I think is usually how that goes.
Was it around the time where Mick Jagger wanted a acting
I
career?
think he wanted
was
an
trying to
acting
pursue
career.
that.
And I think that it's sort of this thing of like, you put an athlete or a musician in your movie, you get one more name in there, and you get without all the actor drama. I guess. I don't know. I don't know what's the purpose of having someone who can barely talk be in your movie. Anyway, Mick Jagger is a heavy in this, and he is terrible. It's like, let's do it. Let's go. Let's go and do it. It's like that was like every line he had in this movie. So anyway, there's this movie here. There's that point in a movie when you're watching a movie you're not understanding. Not a very misunderstood movie. So misunderstood that even Mr. Lobo is not getting it. But there's that moment where you feel the energy of the person sitting next to you, and you glance over toward them to see if maybe they're glancing over toward you, and they are. And you turn and look slowly at each other, and there's that psychic communication of, should we just leave?
They already got our $5, I guess.
And we almost got up and walked out. We kind of like, shifted our weight in our chair, and then at some point we went, well, we paid to see this, so I guess we'll just see it out to see it through.
Twister's not in the theaters yet.
And it was kind of so bad that it was kind of like, we kind of relaxed a little bit and kind of enjoyed how bad the rest of it was. But I think that Free Jack probably falls in that category where I was very excited to see it. I went to go see it unironically, and boy, it was crappy, really crappy. And then now I'm buying the comic book.
Gave you the craps.
Yeah, it was the fucking dog shit of movies.
Dog shit of movies.
But that's a particularly depressing because especially when you go in with an expectation. Johnny Mnemonic was another one where we took friends. Like I had read the story, the William Gibson story, and like, oh man, great cyberpunk story, cyberpunk movie. What would that be like? Blade Runner, I think, was the closest thing to like a cyberpunk movie. We're like, let's go see this.
Keanu Reeves as an action star?
Oh wow! And then it was like, I know kung fu. It's like, oh fuck.
Was that Mick Jagger?
Yeah.
Did you just do your Mick Jagger impersonation?
Yeah.
Did you just make Mick Jagger and Keanu Reeves interchangeable? Is that what I just heard? You made fun of my yaya.
I'll put my Keanu Reeves against your yaya anytime.
It's
foul sounding.
Let's not go there.
So so I would say that would be maybe perhaps equal to that, where I really wanted to like that movie so badly, and it was just hurting me. And it was, I think, worse because I was with friends who I'd talked into coming see it with me, and you could just see all the color drain out of them, and they're like, "This is so bad."
We saw that in the drive-in.
Yeah.
All I can say again.
Yeah,
We
terrible.
were paying attention to the movie.
And was he only carry like 3 megs in his head or something?
Like
It's like some very small amount by today's standards. He's got a 4 gigabyte SD card in his brain, and everybody wants to kill him for it.
He's like jacking in with like an audio wire.
It's like a stereo
quarter-inch.
plug, boom. All right. So your turn, Paul.
Is there another? Well, I already did that because I said about Sergeant Bilko. And
Sergeant
going
Bilko.
to go see the.
Okay. All right, I
Twister
guess that's
movie.
it.
That's mine.
And then the other side of that is
Wasn't there a question up above that?
no, there's a question below that too, and I think we should do this one next. Matthew Siedel's got a lot of questions, and we've got answers for him.
Something like that.
Matthew Siedel's talking about helping us out, like on the technical side of things, as a volunteer.
Why?
He must hate himself. Someone should talk him down.
Somebody should warn him about how
warn
him about how
warn him.
how high suicidal.
How high the suicide rate is amongst
not
OSI
suicide,
producers?
Yes, not rates, but thoughts.
Yes. We have a whole chart here with the suicidal thoughts of our staff. And there's just this red line going up and up and up.
And down and down and down.
And down and down and down. This is an interesting question, too, and I think it folds into what we talked to at the top of the show. What's a typical day like for Mr. Lobo? A typical day. Now, Paul, you've spent a lot of time with me. What's a typical day like for Mr. Lobo?
I think it just boils down to the Valentine's Day special. He sleeps in a suit. He gets up. He showers in the suit. We didn't really shoot that. He brushes his teeth in the suit. He discovers that there's a stain on his suit. Mm-hmm. Changes costumes about 30 times.
Yep.
Then we decide we're going to shoot something, and about 6 hours later, we finally shoot the first thing and then have to break for dinner or something like that.
And it's always something crazy where, there'll be some family emergency next door.
Cable.
Or the cable guy.
Cable guy ate up sometime that one night.
Or someone will want me to do a voice for a feature film, or we'll have to shoot some weird thing for a Mystery Science Theater box set, or there'll be someone will want to interview me for a radio show or a podcast. So I guess the answer is there is no typical day for Mr. Lobo.
Something we did that came to a grinding halt because you had to go do an interview because you forgot about it?
Yeah,
everything just stopped.
We were filming an episode.
Was that when Aaron was here?
And that might have been when Aaron was here.
Yeah.
And we were in the middle of filming a Cinema Sci episode, and I had agreed, I don't know if it was Coast to Coast AM or no, it was the show with the guy from, you remember the show Ghost Hunters? Mm-hmm. Is it Jason? Is that the guy from?
Sure.
All right. The guy who's a plumber. The guy who works for Roto-Rooter.
Mario?
No, not
Luigi.
Mario. Not Luigi. They're plumbers. I mean, on the show.
Well, so is Mario and Luigi.
Yeah, they are. You're not wrong.
I'm not wrong. I'm not right.
You're not right. But on the show, and I believe it's Ghost Hunters, one of the gentlemen works for Roto-Rooter. Are you looking this up right now?
Go ahead, Phil.
But he has his own paranormal radio show. And I remember when they invited me to be on it, I'm like, how did these guys get Roto-Rooter as a sponsor? That's incredible.
Now you know.
And then when I started reading their bios, I'm like, oh damn, that's the guy from the Sci-Fi Channel. I've seen this guy before. Maybe he can help me with my bathroom because we need a good plumber.
Yep.
And you know what? He'll show up on time, I'm sure.
Pair of plumbers moonlight as Ghostbusters.
Yes.
Jason Hawes, 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 and Glenn Wilson is the other guy.
Yeah, it was Jason for sure. So these fine gentlemen, again, famous in their own right, give me a call, call me up and ready to patch me in because I had agreed to be on their show on a certain night and a certain time, and it was live.
Because it wasn't like, oh, I'm just.
Yeah, no, it wasn't like these stupid podcast things where it's like, well, anytime. It's like the cable guy. We can record this anytime between when I get off work and when I have to put my kids to bed, and we can record this any day, any evening or weekend, and then you have to schedule with them. No, this is very specific. Mm-hmm. This day, this time, we're live. Go. Mm-hmm. So I get a phone call and I'm getting patched into a live radio show and I literally have to bail out of my own TV show to be a guest on a radio show. I'm not very well organized. I don't have a handler. I've never had a manager for this. I've had a manager for art and other things. I've had, I've had sort of temporary handlers as far as different things, but I don't have an agent. I don't have a publicist. I don't have someone keeping my schedule intact and run all the trains running on time. It's chaos. It's freaking bedlam. Every day I wake up. We have a friend, Andrew Long. a friend of ours, or is Lueng? I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but we've been friends for 20 years. Andrew runs a Toy Fusion, Toy Worth, both of those things. Toy Fusion is a store, Toy Worth is a website. And he and I have done many, many, many projects together. And he said something to me that I think about almost daily. He says, you know how you wake up every day and you know exactly how your day is going to go? No.
Where do you sign up for that?
Yeah, what world do you live in? You know, and I guess most people, and I don't want to go into this thing of normal people versus us creative types, but I mean, I think normal people have a routine where they get up at a certain time and they go a certain place and they do a job for so long and then they come home and then they have dinner and then they go to bed. And I would love that. So I that kind of structure probably could keep me from being suicidal all the time. But I don't have that in my life because what I do is so
it changes from day to day.
Changes from day to day. Hurry up and go. Hurry up and wait. Rather, hurry up and go. Hurry up and wait. And you never know where your next dollar's coming from. Mm-hmm. It's like if you say no to something too readily, it costs you. Mm-hmm. So you find your sleep, at least I do. You can go two directions, but I gone the other way where I almost say yes to just about everything and then let it fall apart because half the things fall apart.
Right.
So it's not necessary to say no because usually they self-destruct. But I'll suddenly look at my emails and go, oh wow, I'm so overcommitted. It's like, I've got to build this prop. I got to be at this place. Mm-hmm. I got this charity thing. I gotta create some artwork for this thing. Paul and I have to create a commercial and create a this, and here's a cut in for this other thing and a voiceover. And
now
then
we got to go do Blobfest stuff. And we got to commit a whole day of that.
Yeah.
And then that was a nightmare on its own because we were, counting that everything was going to be peachy keen. We're shooting close to midnight on a Thursday. We're thinking that all the bars are going to be shut up. No, that's when Phoenixville's out drinking.
Yeah.
Is at midnight on a Thursday.
Yeah, we filmed the cut-ins for Blobfest for the night of the run-out, where there's a big stage show, interactive stage show, where we talk to a reporter on the scene. And
every location.
And he's coming from every location from the film as part of the stage show. And so we had to go from the Downingtown Diner, where the blob attacks the diner, to the corner where they come running out from the theater, which is 13 miles from
a lot of time in the car,
or 13 minutes anyway from where the theater is. And then there's what was the other? Oh, and the professor's house. We shot in front of the professor's house. So and there's a lot of dialogue.
And the diner was really far too. Was it 18 minutes?
The diner was actually 18 miles. So it's probably 24 minutes to get to the diner.
Which is glad we put that at the tail end of our day because that would have murdered everything.
And everywhere we went, people identified me as Mr. Lobo or identified Dash from Blobfest. Or it was, it's the Blobfest guys, or oh, hey, we love what you've done for Blobfest and this and that. So it was very hard to film this thing. It took forever. It's a logistics nightmare.
The audio was the nightmare.
Yeah, and we had
the worst was in front of the theater.
And Paul and I went out earlier to the Wawa and just recorded out in the parking lot to practice the audio portion. So those
which mic would have the better pickup.
So that's the kind of work that we don't see, that there's no benefit to, but it has to be done. Is to try these things before we actually do them for real. So, but again, we had no idea we were going to do that. And just a few days earlier, we were called down to the Colonial Theater because ABC News wanted to do a piece on Blobfest, and they wanted to talk to me.
That was a day.
And that was a whole nother day out of nowhere. So, and then they wanted to take us out to lunch, which we weren't expecting, and it eats up more time. So let me complain that people want to put me on the news and feed me.
Feed me, Seymour.
Anyway, but no typical day for Mr. Lobo.
It's not ordinary.
Always a goddamn shit show. We'll be right back. Finally, a party game for all that useless knowledge. Play the award-winning, best-selling, world's greatest trivia card game, Movie Buff. A game about every motion picture ever made. Order now from PurviceGames.com. You're listening to your program, the Sleepless Knights podcast, where we answer the questions you want answered.
And we gave Lobo some Computrex? We gave
Computrex.
Computrex during the break to solve his computer problems and depression.
Ease my troubled nerves and help the internet installer at the same time. Computrex was some small company
right by the
in
theater.
Phoenixville by the theater.
They were like, that sounds like a medication.
They had a sign that they were like mad they didn't want people to like loiter on their stoop.
And we're gawking. We're in there.
We're like literally
there?
like putting our eyes right up to the glass and peering in, and it looked
leaving eye gook on the glass.
It looked like I felt like that they would sell me like a Amiga. I feel like that they would like sell me like
got a TAN. Do you want a Commodore 64
or Commodore 64? I mean, this computer store, and if you work there, I'm sorry.
Hashtag not sponsored, by the way.
Looked like it was from the late 80s or the early 90s, the way that it was designed. And
it almost had like that Commodore logo, that C with the red dot
on the wall. You know, and that's when you got to see. We're not up to that point where we've got a giant logo on our wall, a 3D relief logo of the wall.
I mean, there's a big giant picture of you.
There is
a
giant picture of Mr. Lobo. I didn't make that, and it doesn't say anything about our company or anything like that. But the giant, the right above the desk in giant letters on the wall, it said Computrex, which Paul riffed that sounded like some kind of cold medicine or something. All right.
So there you go.
So
now you know.
Back into our
wait. That's a thing you now know.
That's a thing you know.
Yeah, that's the joke we've been making all day.
And whenever Paul says something that's weird that you wish that could get out of your head, it's a thing you now know. Yeah,
whether you want to or not.
So
what is Scotty Moon?
No, different Scott.
No, Richie Cunningham, isn't it?
Yeah. I guess we should read it as his alias. It's not Scott Baio.
That's a Scott Baio.
No, it doesn't. I want you to see you jump 20 barrels on your motorcycle, Richie Cunningham. Yeah. That's what it says. Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And that was sent by Scott Blaze or Scott Blias.
I don't know.
Or Scott.
Now, did he take over for Ron Howard after he left the show?
So I think that
or
was
is he the older brother that left in the beginning?
The older brother that just mysteriously disappears. They just decided to make the cast a little smaller by just eliminating that other character. Scott wants to know is he implying that we jumped the shark on the show?
I don't know. I mean, can we jump the shark?
I feel like we jumped the shark already.
We jumped the shark a lot.
Yeah.
Now, is it the shark or the art? Because there is a difference.
Art, which is
school arts.
Was that the school arts?
Yeah, school arts is arts.
That's terrible, Paul.
That's what you said.
That's not even a good idea.
You said like 4 podcasts ago.
It's still terrible. I mean, the F arts was already stupid.
No, it's not F arts. It's arts.
It's arts? Is it an apostrophe or a dash?
We still never solved that.
It's nothing to be solved because no one is going to say for
Nobody
arts.
wanted to solve it.
All right.
I don't know. That one event we were at.
I want you to see you jump 20 barrels. I want you to see you jump. So really, he doesn't really want me to jump it. He wants me to see myself jumping it.
Now, are you running really fast and jumping? Now, how many
Am
barrels?
I jumping the motorcycle?
How many barrels?
It's 20 barrels on my motorcycle.
Full-size barrels?
How do you get 20 barrels on top of a motorcycle?
I don't know. Now, is it full size or is it barrel of monkey barrels?
Oh, like those little barrels.
I mean, you could totally do that.
Yeah, I totally could do that. We should try that.
Yeah.
We'd have to buy enough.
Mr. Lobo does jumping 20 barrels of monkeys.
Yes, 20 barrels of monkeys.
Before he sharts himself.
More fun than a barrel of Happy Days references. All right. So that is it. Jumping the shark. Now, I guess should we explain briefly jumping the shark? Does anyone not know what that means?
I think everybody knows what that means by now, don't you?
Very briefly, the television show Happy Days. This is right when Jaws came out. They had the character Fonzie on his motorcycle jump over a shark at like a Evel Knievel type stunt, and people mark that as the point in where the show just went south and never came back. Mm-hmm. After they did that point. I guess Lost in Space probably has that point where it gets too silly or they get too far away from what makes the show work.
Simpsons.
I think when Mork and Mindy had the baby, when they had Mirth, when Jonathan Winters started being on the show.
Mm-hmm.
That might be for a lot of people the shark jumping moment. And we of course have our shark jumping moment.
We shart the jump.
Yeah.
We shart the jump a long time ago.
Yeah, that's terrible. but people say that, jump the shark.
And it wasn't a thing that Fonzie was doing that already, because the barrels came first, right? Or did the barrels come after the shark?
I don't know if the barrel. I mean, I don't know if the barrels really matter, do they? I mean, there were barrels.
But I'm saying that he was doing this routine anyway. That was kind of a regular.
He was
for his
jumping
character.
barrels in his motorcycle. Yeah.
That episode came first, and then a shark came
and
later.
then they just decided, well, now he could jump a shark.
That's his thing now. We're going to make this
I
Fonzie's
guess,
thing.
but I feel like it's stupid that he'd be jumping barrels anyway. I don't see that character as being a thrill seeker in that way.
He wrecks. He doesn't even do it, does he?
I don't know.
That was that whole
Do you
moment
even
of-
make me watch that episode?
I'm watching it in my head right now. Come join me.
No, I'm not going to. So
It's
Scott,
odd because they're all not wearing much.
I like to think of us being more like when the cartoon Happy Days, the Fonz and the Happy Days gang.
What did he jump on that cartoon?
They were just in a time traveling jukebox with a talking dog named Mr. Cool. Oh, hey Fonzie. Oh, hey Mr. Cool. We got to go back in time and help Ben Franklin. See, that's the Happy Days I want. That's
Now, when did Andrew Dice Clay end up on Happy Days?
That's not Andrew Dice Clay, and it's not Keanu Reeves.
Are you sure?
No, and
Not Mick Jagger.
and it's
Well, I
not
could
Mick
tell
Jagger.
it wasn't Mick Jagger. But that was definitely that was the Dice Man.
It's like every sidekick and every cartoon talks like Slimer. There's just no other voice you get to do.
No.
All right, so that's that. Happy Days, and then Kelly DeMall.
Kelly DeMall. Step on up.
Oh,
or down,
Kelly,
or-
she's so great. Oh my gosh, what a super fan. Always kind, always patient. I always forget her stuff. I forget to mail her stuff.
Horrible person. You're a horrible
And then
man.
when she gets it, she's still grateful and nice. So, Kelly, thank you for being so patient and being so supportive. And you've got a lot of questions. Actually, one of these questions is really good.
Okay. Which one?
I'm going to read.
Can I pick at random?
No, you can't. You can't randomly pick the one that's really good. Okay,
That one right there. Stop.
this
Three
one here
fingers.
is not the really good one. I mean, Kelly, all your
Well, they're
questions
both
are good, but I think this question is one that we can answer right now. Do you think you might go to some conventions outside of the New England area soon?
New England? Now, where's the New England area?
That's what I was thinking.
Alaska,
the 13
Florida.
colonies.
So Alaska, Florida, Wisconsin, and Sacramento.
Alaska, Florida, Wisconsin are not in the original 13
But you didn't say
colonies.
Sacramento, so Sacramento is.
Sacramento, if Sacramento is in Virginia, maybe it's one of the original
Maybe.
13 colonies.
Maybe. Okay.
California, we stole California from Hawaii, right? Isn't that what happened?
I don't know.
Okay,
I think we stole them from the Irish,
okay.
the potato farmers.
We had the potato wars.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, with potato guns,
with the spud guns.
spud guns.
I remember that. We skimmed over that
Yeah.
in social studies.
Oh, your schools are different than ours out here.
So the original 13 college, boy, we are such jackasses. Kelly's still waiting for us to answer.
Well, it's lemon. It's lemon. It's
What?
pepper. It's
We're going through ingredients?
like 11 herbs and spices.
No,
13 herbs and
13
spices.
colonies has nothing to do with the 11 herbs and spices.
Okay.
And there's no lemon in 11 herbs and spices, is there?
I don't know.
Does Kentucky Fried Chicken have lemon
That's
dust?
their secret. I can't expose that on the radio.
All right. Lemon dust.
Lemon dust
is the secret.
Lemon dust and tears.
Yeah. There might be lemon rind. That might be one of the
11
secret
herbs and
spices.
spices?
Probably not though. It's not that zesty.
I don't know.
Not zesty
Does
at
chicken count as a herb or a spice? I know that's in there. I think maybe.
all. Yeah.
Air quotes.
Yeah,
Chicken.
this is so mutated. It's probably somehow grown without a head in a cage.
Made from chicken-like substance.
All right. So, do we think we might do some conventions outside of the New England area? So, I guess outside of what we always do, Pennsylvania and
Pennsylvania.
that's where we're at right now is Pennsylvania,
Pennsylvania,
which is kind of rude
definitely.
to say. like the Bible Belt of Pennsylvania.
Yeah. As if we've never been rude on the show before.
And then Virginia. I do shows in Virginia sometimes.
I've been down there.
And
I was just down there like 2 weeks ago.
Paul does New York a lot. We were going to do Florida, but that show, Buddha's show, was postponed. So
But that doesn't count anyway. That's not
that's not in the 13 colonies.
No.
Or
think so.
she didn't say 13 colonies. She said outside of the New England area. Well, Florida's not in the New England area, and I don't know where
Definitely.
Kelly DeMall is. So
or do we? We're broadcasting.
Well, isn't she
we're
in
broadcasting
Hawaii? She
within
might
your-
be in Hawaii.
We're broadcasting within her house right now. We're waiting for her to get off work. I've worn
getting
everything.
creepy.
I've worn everything in your dresser right now. I don't know what to say.
And you don't look good in it.
No. We were watching some movies and we got bored and we're heading home.
No, I think we should get out of Kelly's house
Yeah.
right now before we go to jail.
Sorry, Kelly. Sorry for the mess, by the way.
So we want to go everywhere. Paul actually talks about doing like a cross country
51 conventions in 51 days.
51 weeks, 51 conventions
52.
and 52. How many states are there, first of all, Paul? Do you even know that?
Well, there's depression.
You're in that state all the
time. And there's
time.
despair.
Yeah.
And there's
50 states
Comatose.
50 in a year, right? Is that what you want to do?
50 states
cons,
in a year.
50 cons and 50 states in a year.
50 conventions in a year.
That's what you'd like to do.
That would be cool.
That'd be crazy.
Well, I guess to make it would be 52. So we would include Canada. That wouldn't necessarily be a state. Maybe England. To do the whole 52, to do a whole entire year.
To do Canada?
It would be Canada and say England. Because England has some Comic Cons too.
That's true. I'd love to do a Comic-Con.
If we would do 52, that would be one. That would be a convention a
we
week.
could go see Bunny and Cliff. Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah, we can go up to Cliff and be like, "G'day, g'day, Cliff."
Oh, Paul,
Hi
come
ho.
on. That's Australia. And Australia I would love to go to also.
Yeah.
They're doing some great B-movie science.
Until we get hit by some bears. Bars.
Drop bears?
Drop bears.
What the hell's a drop bear?
Look it up on the internet.
I'm not looking it up anything. That sounds like the CB
It
talk.
comes from me. I know
We
it's
got
reliable.
some drop bears.
Got some drop
in the
bears.
air. Do you
Breaker
come back?
19, breaker
Yeah.
99. Look out for some drop bears.
All right.
You might get some chlamydia.
Paul, seriously.
Look it up.
I'm not looking up anything after you say chlamydia. Okay, so we would love to be anywhere. I'm not as much of a I like conventions, but Paul's a convention junkie. Connoisseur, yes. I would love to do more film festivals. I'd like to go to more drive-ins and art house theaters and mom and pop theaters and big exciting weird theaters would be cool too. I wouldn't mind, and like strange roadside attractions and places where urban legends may have happened, and mystery spots and
Roadshow.
I guess the answer is we'll go anywhere.
Yeah.
Just
I
give
mean,
us,
I've been to Boston.
we just broke.
I did a show in
but
Boston,
if we had more money, we'd be all over the place.
That's fun. I'd like to go back.
What is Boston?
Boston.
Rock and Shock.
Boston.
I think we did Rock and Shock once.
Well, there you go. And then you might have been up there.
I'd love to go up. I'd love to go up there. So invite us. First of all, we'll go anywhere. We just need to be invited.
Mm-hmm.
And
Because vampires can't cross that threshold unless they're invited.
And plane ticket, a bed, and a dish with our name on it.
And Paul's the big spoon.
And Paul's always the big spoon. That's right.
What else does she write?
Okay, this one's a great one, Paul. And I think I actually feel like that this thing is so deep that we probably could do a whole show with this premise.
Well, let's do it.
with us the way that we are.
Well, we only have 2 minutes, so.
Okay, this is for both Mr. Lobo and Paul.
Oh.
Kelly included.
I've been answering them anyway.
Yeah, Paul.
I've been inserting myself into your
Yes,
questions
that's
anyhow.
right. You've inserted yourself into my life, so
Yeah.
you might as well.
Talking about sharts.
You
The
know,
one thing that never goes away is Paul.
yeah. I guess this is if we keep that lowbrow, highbrow mix for people. All right. What are some of your favorite films to watch? What do you think that is the truly worst movie ever made? So it's just a two-part question. What are our favorite films to watch, and what do we think is truly the worst movie ever made? I would like to say that, favorite is kind of a varying sliding scale. Sometimes I favor things more than others. And in my life, they're thinking, oh, that's my favorite movie. Oh, no, that's my favorite movie. You ask me a month from now, I might say a different movie. Maybe we can kind of break this down maybe into genres or certain things, things we might be looking for in a movie, and then maybe use this as a jumping off point to talk about all sorts
movies
of
in general.
Movies in general and the movies that we enjoy.
Sounds like an idea.
And then,
glad you thought of it.
And then I think the other part is maybe might more pertain to me more, which is the truly worst movie ever made. What is the movie that everyone says is the worst movie that's ever made?
Right.
Do you know?
Huh? Spice World.
Oh, wow. No, but do people say Spice World is the worst?
I don't know. Is it?
Because I always thought that people said said Plan 9 was the worst movie.
Is it your opinion or is the general consensus? Some may just say, was it the Last Jedi, but could be the worst movie.
Well, sure. Every movie
if you're going by general consensus,
we don't go by general consensus.
So that's your opinion.
I have a rule for the show for Cinema Insomnia is that every movie is somebody's favorite movie, and every movie, no matter what it is somebody's least favorite movie. But the question here is that what do we think? So this is an opinion-based thing. Is the truly worst movie ever made. And I think that is in contrast to or in answer to things like Robot Monster or Plan 9 from Outer Space, or things that always get saddled with that have these very interesting premise. I mean, movies about monsters and spacemen are not the worst movies, or ninjas or cowboys aren't the worst movies in the world because there's something fun and interesting about them. I think the worst movies ever made aren't worth talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So on that note,
I gotta hold this card. We'll do this one first.
Shoulder mount, and then
shoulder mount the fucking dog shit.
Oh wow, Paul, you got both cards up. Does that mean we're out of time?
I think that means we're out of time.
All right, so Paul subtly announced that we're out of time.
Subtly, listeners didn't even know.
And I think that it would be a great idea. I guess Paul and I have a lot of homework to do, right?
Yeah. Or we could just stop the recording and start a brand new one, and we're good to go.
Good night, everyone. You have been listening to the Sleepless Knights podcast, or should we say, pODDcast.
pODDcast.
Emphasis on the odd. Our theme is by Mars Homeworld at Dead House Music. Our opening announcement is by Ophelia Necro. She does a radio show called Suicide Watch. And you could reach Mr. Lobo at cinemainsomnia.com, or find me on YouTube, YouTube/Mr. Lobo, MisterLobo. Mr. Lobo on Facebook, Facebook/mr.lobo, or on Twitter, at Mr. Lobo, MisterLobo.
Or you can find myself, Paul Sanders, or better known as Bestow TV, at Bestow.tv, on YouTube /Bestow TV, on Twitter at Bestow Prod, PROD, and on Facebook, Bestow TV.
If you want to place an advertisement with this podcast, and gosh, why wouldn't you? We could be talking about you right now. Contact us, Mr. Lobo at cinemainsomnia.com. That's MRLOBO @CINEMAINSOMNIA.com. Or support us on Patreon. Patreon supporters get to hear this podcast before anyone else, and a lot of other great stuff, right, Paul?
Sure.
Doesn't get it better than that, right? So come join the fun at patreons.com/cinema-insomnia. That's patreon.com/cinema-insomnia. Please stay up with us next week for another Sleepless Knights podcast. Or should we say, pODDcast.
pODDcast.
The best thing about being an insomniac is never having to say goodnight.
Good night.